This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
Hey guys! My executive producers at Patreon.com have decided that we should wrap up this exploration into the Hensonverse by looking at a movie that I think does a good job of picking up where Jim Henson left off. The Adventures of Pinocchio. It only makes sense that a production company that's famous for its puppetry would take on the story of the most famous puppet in the world. It was directed and co-written by Steve Barron, whose credits also include the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as well as a few episodes of The Storyteller. Most of my issues regarding the latter were that the stories themselves needed a bit of tweaking when making the leap from book to television screen, and The Adventures of Pinocchio, for the most part, seems to do a good job of doing that, bringing us what may be the closest thing to a realistic interpretation of the story that one can get.
I'm going to let you in on a secret, but before I do, are you subscribed to Bob Show's channel? Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell so that you get all the notifications and you never miss when there's a live stream or a new video out. And don't forget to answer the question of the review. It's down below. Your answer might be read by Bob Show or I in the next video. Now, on with the secret. I don't know why, but I have always been really uncomfortable about Pinocchio. I don't think I'm afraid of him as an adult, but I just have an aversion to watching anything that has anything to do with Pinocchio. When I was little, my parents took me to see it at the movie theater, and I had nightmares about it, and I didn't want to even talk about Pinocchio. So, little Raven did not like Pinocchio. My parents never understood why, and adult Raven is just not into it. So, that may flavor the upcoming review. You've been warned.
Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one. Our movie begins with a little prologue showing a young Geppetto quietly declaring his secret love for a girl named Leona.
Forever yours, Geppetto.
Sooner or later, though, when the heart is full and the heavens are listening, magic is bound to happen.
The original book offers us nothing as to why the log that would eventually become Pinocchio is alive, but magic brought on by the power of love? I can get behind that. Among the star-studded cast of Martin Landau as Geppetto and Jonathan Taylor Thomas as the titular Pinocchio, we also have Rob Schneider and Bebe Neuwirth.
Oh God, please don't let her sing!
Don't worry, we'll be alright.
Oops, looks like you've dropped your wood, Senior Puppet Maker.
Maybe I should be more careful next time.
I guess this was always a thing. Get off of my lawn, you damn kids! He comes home to a shop full of marionettes as his only company, but when he tries to put this particular log in the fireplace...
This log has a will of its own.
That's his reaction to a log jumping out of the fire. Not something like, "Ah, demon!"
Must have been one hell of a crackle.
Let's see if we can find a face to match.
Our heart. Anyone who wants a new brother, say so now. All right. Don't everybody talk at once.
I like how Geppetto specifically makes marionettes in this version. Usually he's just a wood carver, so what real reason does he have to turn this random log into a puppet when he could make it into anything? In this version, he creates Pinocchio as his masterpiece.
Ready. Benissimo. Now, would you like your papa to show you how to walk? Huh? Yes? Oh, very nice. What a smart little boy you are. Excuse me, coming through.
I kinda wish they did just a little more to show off the vertical controller that he's using here. Usually marionettes in TV and movies just show a wooden cross as something for the strings to hang onto, but with the way Pinocchio's nodding and walking, we could have had a close-up of Geppetto's hand as he's very simply pulling off these elaborate moves with a puppet. You may remember seeing this guy from my review for Sorcerer's Apprentice, and because of the way that his controller is built here, he's able to have a lot more animation than, say, what this guy's controls would have to offer. Also, this movie takes a cue from the Disney film by showing off Pinocchio being puppeteered before he's alive. Most adaptations just jump right into Pinocchio being alive once he's finished, but it makes a big difference when you see Pinocchio the puppet versus Pinocchio the living creature.
We'll call you Pinocchio. Better to have puppets than noisy little boys running around.
Yeah, you say that, and Pinocchio is a little mischief maker, but it's a good thing you weren't building Scarface or something.
Wouldn't have been any less creepy. I'm sorry, those eyes are dead and hollow. They're looking right into your soul. Yes, we get it! Pinocchio has a face. A horribly creepy face. Stop zooming in! We're close enough already. I keep expecting him to blink at the camera.
Oh, wow, you are not gonna like this next shot.
Ah!
Oh my god, that was beautiful, thank you.
You shut up, that's creepy as hell. He's supposed to be made of wood, right? So then why is he moving like he's made of latex?
Because that's how he has to emote through his otherwise static face. Would it be less creepy if he had mechanical facial animations like a ventriloquist dummy?
I don't know. I don't know how to judge what's creepier than something else.
But yeah, now that this log has the ability to move and perceive the world around him, he wants to take full advantage of it.
Nina, leave that puppet alone. Behave yourself.
Someone call an exorcist! He's gonna drown him. He's gonna creep up on him and push him under the water.
No, you're thinking of Vern Troyer's Pinocchio.
What? Nope.
Geppetto's reaction to seeing his latest creation getting up and walking around by himself is... well, what other reaction could he have?
What other reaction could he have? How about, "Get thee behind me, Satan!"
Pinocchio's mischievous career kicks off with him chasing a random pigeon casually flying by.
Wait, Pinocchio! Stop! Oh, come down right now! What are you doing?
He's stalking the bird to kill it and eat it.
It also goes without saying that despite Pinocchio only just learning how to walk, he's already an expert climber. Huh. Of course, it isn't long before this little adventure goes south.
Oh.
La mia biancheria. Take off my underwear right now.
It's so weird. Ever since Disney's Pinocchio, every Geppetto sounds like the Italian he's supposed to be. Well, almost every Geppetto. This movie takes it a step further by including multiple Italians in this Italian story, like Geppetto's love interest, Leona, When most other movies made for American audiences that take place in Europe seem content to have their respective casts made up of Brits and call it a day. Despite this movie having a few more Italians in it than you might expect, even it isn't above the trope of casting English actors, as well as a few Americans, like Pinocchio himself. Why not just go all out and have everyone sounding Italian like they logically should be?
Interesting point, yet hardly noticeable with this thing walking around.
You even gave him your heart.
Our heart.
What did you say?
Nothing. Come, Pinocchio.
Come, Pinocchio. Come, Papa.
Seems a little stiff, Leonard.
See, just like his father.
Again, we've got this horrible demon puppet plaguing the town, and all she can think about is how his father's a little stiff?
Actually, I kinda like how everyone thinks that Geppetto just made up a new means of controlling his puppets, and that Pinocchio is nothing but an elaborate special effect. The book never explains why most people are so nonchalant about this living marionette running around, and every other movie just lets that slide. But here, people are marveled by this new special effect that Geppetto's invented. Then they say, wait a minute, after they get a closer look at what he's created. There's no explanation as to why Geppetto wasn't burned at the stake for practicing witchcraft immediately after, but it's better than nothing.
They've stopped burning people. They might hang you, though.
Pinocchio slips away and soon comes face to face with a very strange creature.
Are you real, boy? Yes. Are you? Yes.
Yikes. Did we really need the Woody Woodpecker laugh? Oh. I get it. Woody Woodpecker.
Kill it with fire.
Pinocchio then meets Rob Schneider and Bebe Neuwirth.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my, what an intriguing little item you are. Ooh, and look how smoothly his arms move.
Bebe, thank you for not singing, but do you have to sound so into him?
No, she's just acting cat-like.
And why is she acting cat-like to the abomination?
Because she and Rob Schneider are playing the Cat and the Fox characters.
Lorenzini, darling. I see my timing is perfect.
See? But yeah, Volpe and Feline here are in league with our villain, the puppeteer Lorenzini. They tell him of the new puppet in town, and he immediately goes to Geppetto to buy him. Geppetto insists that he can't sell Pinocchio, and instead pushes these other two marionettes. Lorenzini agrees and buys them, without even having to say, I'll be back, in an ominous fashion, since he's a regular customer, and of course he'll be back to get what he wants. But Pinocchio spots a bunch of boys on the way to school, and he follows them there. After getting into a little tiff with Lampwick, the teacher confronts him about it, but Pinocchio denies it. This leads to his nose growing in comical fashion, and it continues to grow with every embellishment.
Silence! Infantino! Go. Handkerchief, go on. Quickly!
I did punch Lampwick, Professore. And I'm sorry.
What's interesting is that, unlike most adaptations, Pinocchio figures out for himself that the truth will set you free. Usually his nose is returned to normal after someone intervenes or suggests that he tell the truth, but in this movie, he's smart enough to figure it out on his own. Unfortunately, he gets kicked out of school, and he soon finds himself at a bakery. Incidentally, does this baker's wife look familiar?
Princess Bad Sister! From
far away.
From far away!
I was going to say strawberry shortcake.
Despite not having any taste buds, stomach, or bloodstream to speak of, Pinocchio encounters his first sugar high, and hilarity ensues.
More.
Oh, little
mischief maker.
Okay, we get it. She's a cat. Can she stop acting so into him already? It's really fucking creepy.
After all kinds of hell is finished breaking loose, Geppetto is arrested for Pinocchio's mayhem, but Pinocchio himself gets away and makes his way home. People like to point out how Pinocchio was something of a little sociopath before Disney turned him into the innocent that we all know and love. And again, we see a bit more of Disney's influence as Pinocchio comes across the cricket who's destined to be his moral compass. In the book, Pinocchio smashes him with a hammer because he didn't like how preachy he was, but here he just steps on the cricket because he startles him. Can't blame the little guy for acting in self-defense, right? But yeah, the cricket's dead, and I think him being a little ghost cricket is supposed to explain why he's the only kinda sorta anthropomorphic animal in the entire movie, as opposed to the book, which is flooded with them.
Let me introduce myself. The name is Pugnaccio Elocucio P. Elegante. Give me a P, an E, a P, an E. Put them all together and call me Pepe.
Pepe? Why isn't his name Jiminy?
Because Jiminy Cricket is strictly a Disney character. In the book, he's just called the Talking Cricket.
Okay, fair enough. But why did they give him a Spanish name?
It got me there. Pepe offers to help Pinocchio on his path to becoming a real boy.
I'm a lot more than your standard garden variety cricket. I'm a teller of truths.
And no, I have no idea why his lip sync is so terrible. This movie came out in 1996. Sure, computer animation was still in its early stages, but it's not like proper lip sync was impossible to accomplish.
You are a child's plaything!
You are a sad, strange little man.
Ah, visitors, how wonderful. Get the door and be polite and smile now. Show those pearly whites.
And therein lies one of the biggest problems of Pinocchio's journey to become a real boy. He has to learn the difference between right and wrong, but what does that mean exactly? Yes, Pepe is absolutely right in that when someone knocks on the door, a good rule of thumb is to answer it and be polite to whoever's outside, but he doesn't know that Pinocchio's wanted by the police. What if it was some home invader looking to do a little robbery? Then again, I suppose Pepe's advice is still better than anything Cool Cat might have to offer. Maybe whoever's knocking on the door could have good news! And I love good news! So see who it is! Pinocchio and Geppetto stand trial for the damage he's done, and I think this is a good spot to talk about the movie's art direction. While the book itself is vague as to when the story of Pinocchio is meant to take place, it almost looks like this movie is taking place during the Renaissance. Here we see Michelangelo's The Trial of Geppetto. Earlier during Pinocchio's creation, it almost looks like Donatello's puppet reclining. Some might be turned off by Pinocchio's Czechoslovakian aesthetic, as opposed to his more traditional Italian look, but I think this whole movie is just beautiful.
Well, glad you like it.
Anyway, Geppetto is charged with paying for the damages to the baker shop, but since he can't pay it, Lorenzini shows up to offer to pay it off himself, in exchange that he gets to keep Pinocchio. Since it's either that or going to jail, Geppetto has no choice but to accept his proposal.
Pinocchio,
Yes, Papa?
listen to me. You're going to go with that man now.
But I want to be with you.
I know. But you see, there's no other choice.
You're my Papa.
I can't be your papa. You're made of wood. You're not flesh. You're not a real boy. Now go, where everyone's good.
Now, come on. I know that you think that this puppet is creepy, but you could just see the heartbreak in his eyes right there, couldn't you?
Nope.
I love you, Papa.
But yeah, now that Pinocchio is in Lorenzini's clutches, he puts on the most epic fucking puppet show in the world.
I see gold out there. Little pieces of gold.
Look at him wanting to make money off of this craft. What an asshole! As I mentioned in past reviews, puppets have been used to tell stories for thousands of years. Lorenzini, however, apparently produces full-blown puppet operas, complete with special effects, singers who he's trained to act through their hands, and even this little conductor who I can't tell if he's there just for show, or if the puppeteer is actually using it to conduct Lorenzini's orchestra. If film hadn't been discovered yet, I could easily picture Steven Spielberg doing puppet shows like this.
All the world is waiting. Maiden, I must save. No time for hesitating. If only I were brave.
Unfortunately, Pinocchio's not as good a singer as his co-stars. Why do they keep casting Jonathan Taylor Thomas in singing roles when he can't sing?
Oh, I just can't wait to be king. Everything or nothing. Look out, he's coming through! Sorry. Excuse me. I'll save you. Sorry.
I'll save you with the mystical sword of Hup.
You cannot bring up anything to do with Hub during this monstrosity.
Here's an interesting little nod to Lorenzini's original character in the book, who was called Fire Eater. In this movie, he has an affinity for chili peppers, which makes him breathe fire. And instead of just sitting back and letting his crew do all the work, he's in the thick of it providing the show's pyrotechnics. I know he's the villain, but it's so hard to not appreciate him as an entertainer. Unfortunately, no one told Pinocchio about this part of the show, and it kind of freaks him out a little.
Here's your proof, Pinocchio. This is how much Lorenzini loves you. You can save the others if you want. You can do what's right. Those puppets are your brothers and sisters.
Stop it.
Brilliant acting, Pinocchio.
Geppetto made them. I won't let them burn.
Good work.
No!
Yes.
Okay, new theory. Pepe is the real villain of the movie. He's giving advice to Pinocchio, which, at face value, is good, but again, context is everything. He's right in that it's not good to burn who you might consider your family, but these puppets are frickin' expensive. What reason does Lorenzini have to burn them when it'd be easier to keep them for future performances? He had no intention of burning them, he's just putting on a show. But because Pinocchio was given faulty information, he ends up doing more damage than our alleged villain.
Is it hot in here, or is it me? Ciao!
Hey, wait a minute. Pinocchio catches on fire and he survives? Boo!
Luckily, Pinocchio manages to escape with his life, but then he just ditches the other puppets for whom he burned down the opera house in the first place.
Oh no, my family. I won't let them burn. F them.
Pinocchio floats down the river into the next day, and Geppetto sets out to look for him. Luckily, he has his dear friend Leona to lend a hand.
Pinocchio probably feels like he can't come home, like he'll only be in trouble if he does.
Yes?
Where would you go if you felt that way?
I don't know. Someplace safe.
And where would that be, given the fact that you're made out of wood?
The forest.
I know when I'm afraid, the first place I head to is a maternity ward. Or maybe to hang out with a bunch of pregnant women. That makes no sense!
Good point, but it still makes more sense than the ocean being the first place to look.
No, it doesn't! Shut up!
After a bit of wandering through the forest, Pinocchio eventually finds his original stump. He's perfectly content to stay there since he thinks that this is where he really belongs, and he tells Pepe to piss off for suggesting he get back to Geppetto.
Follow me! Off we go! Run, run, run!
Someone your own size.
Like you?
Oops.
Now all of a sudden he can feel?
Oh dear. He should have been screaming in agony from losing his leg earlier, shouldn't he?
And I'm pretty sure he was conscious when Geppetto was carving him. Did he feel himself being carved?
Oh my god, he felt everything, but he couldn't scream because he didn't have a mouth yet! He crosses paths with Volpe and Felinae again after getting away in a monastery.
Hey, I know you. You're friends with Lorenzini.
Oh, we're finished with him now.
We're repugnant.
Repentant.
Yeah, that too.
And we're here to ask for forgiveness.
What's forgiveness?
Forgiveness means that when you did something really wrong, you want somebody to tell you that it wasn't really, really wrong when you know what you did was wrong because you did it.
Shh. Please forgive me for being a puppet instead of a real boy for my papa.
Aw, him asking for forgiveness for being a puppet might be endearing if he wasn't so f***ing ugly.
Oh, you're just a big meaty head. Felinae says that he can become a real boy if he bought himself a miracle, and the easiest way to get enough money to do so is to bury the small handful of coins that he has so that they'll grow into a tree in the Field of Miracles. And I'm only noticing for the first time that this alleged Field of Miracles is the monastery's graveyard out back. Pinocchio's desecration of this site is going to give rise to the Walking Dead. But yeah, they tell Pinocchio to wait an hour before the gold will blossom into a full-grown money tree, so he just stands there watching the clock.
Don't do it. He's not gonna. He's doing it. This movie sucks.
Pepe shows up, with no explanation of where he keeps disappearing to, and tries to tell him how nonsensical this is, but then again, it's being told to him by the ghost of a talking cricket. Can you blame this poor kid for being confused?
My papa wants me to be a real boy. I'm staying right here and waiting for my miracle.
Your papa wants you, no matter what you're made of. Be a loving son, and the real boy stuff will take care of itself. So remember, you heard it here first. Miracles don't grow on trees. Miracles are made in the heart.
Naturally, all that he comes back to is an empty hole, but then Lampwick passes by with a bunch of other kids, and he invites Pinocchio to come with them to a place where only real boys go. Nice to see Lampwick wanting to bury the hatchet like this. Geppetto spots them and follows in pursuit, but Pinocchio loses his hat as they pass through a waterfall, leading Geppetto to think that Pinocchio's out at sea somewhere. Again, as weird as this story is, it's good to see it trying to follow some kind of logic.
I'm going to go find him.
Now wait 1 minute. You're going to kill yourself for one of your puppets.
He's my son. I've already let one great love slip through my fingers. I don't want it to happen again.
Geppetto! You may never come back.
In that case, I'll tell you why you should never have married my brother.
Why?
Because you should have married me.
Oh!
The day I carved that heart in the tree, you accepted my brother's proposal.
25 years you take to tell me, and I'm supposed to wait. You're too late. I'm not waiting.
Pinocchio and his traveling companions are actually brought to this little isolated amusement park called the Terra Magica, where they're encouraged to do whatever they want. Gotta give Lorenzini some credit. His puppet opera burns down and he's already back on his feet with this enterprise. The man knows how to bounce back from a bad situation. They have everything rambunctious little boys could want, like roller coasters, bugs you can blow up with fireworks, even a shooting range. But since this place doesn't have any rules, they don't practice proper gun safety.
Treat it just like, when you first meet somebody that you really like. You want to get to know them better. You want to get to know the person's favorite color, their favorite ice cream, what they like to wear and all that. You're interested in getting to know them. Treat your handgun the same way.
That's my gun.
Next one, lampshade.
Nobody calls me lampshade. No, you give me the gun.
Stop doing that. It's not cute, and it's definitely not human.
Nice shot.
Fortunately, getting shot doesn't injure Pinocchio in the slightest. Man, Pinocchio sure can take a lot of punishment, can't he? In all of the media he's been presented in, he's been dismembered, filed, sanded, lit on fire, hanged, drowned, broken in various places.
Will nothing kill this thing? Please?
Pinocchio and his friends go on this roller coaster which passes through a fountain, the water of which turns the kids into whatever they've been acting like, i.e. jackasses. But since Pinocchio is now full of holes after his little gun mishap, he only holds enough water in his system to grow donkey ears, but that's about it.
Hey, where'd you get that?
Not at the gift shop. Actually, now that I think about it, why would Lorenzini even bother with this whole boys into donkeys thing anyway? Wouldn't it be easier to just run this amusement park as a legitimate business? What happens when he runs out of boys to trick into coming here? Wouldn't he want them coming back as repeat customers? On the other hand, at least this makes for a nice origin story for the donkey from Shrek. Pinocchio releases the other donkeys, he's almost captured himself, and I guess this is a testament to Geppetto's craftsmanship if this little stunt results in Pinocchio's ears being torn off before any of his joints give way.
Wait a minute. Pinocchio is hurt by the woodpecker having a go at him, but he didn't feel this? Or the gunshot wound?
No, this is all wrong. You gotta believe me. Look, they're trying to trick you. They want us to behave badly. Don't go on the ride, please. We've been acting like jackasses, so that's what we turn into.
Again, I gotta give the movie some serious props for attempting to answer the question of why these kids are turning into donkeys when the book offers no explanation for it. But what if they're acting like assholes? Or douchebags? Or dick cheeses?
You're fired.
Lampwick gives Lorenzini a lamp kick before he can convince any more kids to seal their fates. Sure is a good thing this magic water has a twisted sense of humor. The boys all escape. Pinocchio runs into Leona. She tells him that Geppetto's out at sea, so Pinocchio goes out as well. How very fortunate that all these spare boats are just lying around.
If you think I'm going to wait for both of you, you don't even know how to swim.
He's made of wood! He can float!
Pinocchio and Pepe are eventually swallowed by a Lorenzini the sea monster, but this isn't enough to stop Pinocchio's quest to find his father.
Ahoy, Captain! Where are we now? Boy, you sure get into a lot of trouble.
Papa!
Oh, sure, like he's just around the corner.
He might be.
You know, this smells an awful lot like rotten chili peppers in here.
Quiet.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Coming through.
That's fucking creepy.
What? He misses his son.
So he makes his likeness out of bones and tendons and seaweed and undigested bits?
Okay, I can see how that would be a bit unsavory. Note to self, buy new anniversary gift.
And look! He's sitting on a pile of shit!
And a new venue. Now that they're reunited, they work on getting out of their fishy prison.
Let's try to find a way out of here. Come. Phew, smells like rotten chili peppers in here.
It's also a good thing that Lorenzini's insides have decent lighting and footholds for our heroes. They make their way to the throat, but since it's too small for them to get through, Pinocchio widens it by lying to make his nose grow, until...
Oh, come on, he didn't feel that?
Lorenzini coughs them up, and it's kind of a rip-off that he dies immediately after. We get a little bit of foreshadowing from Lorenzini's puppet show as he operates the fire-breathing sea monster. They remind us twice about his affinity for chili peppers in this sequence, but this doesn't end in a climactic chase like in the Disney movie, but with Lorenzini breathing fire at our heroes? Lame. But yeah, they get back to shore, where Leona is waiting for them, despite her saying that she wasn't going to. Geppetto loves and accepts Pinocchio for being the real son that he is, and this turns him into a real boy.
girls are made in the heart, Papa.
So all's well that ends well as they make their way home, but not before Pinocchio runs into Volpe and Felinae again.
That sure isn't very much gold you've got there.
Excuse me, Sonny. We're rich.
That's not rich. This is rich.
That's nothing but a rock.
Yes, but if you take this road 5 miles, there's a valley. I've been there. Drinking the water turns bad boys into donkeys.
Get out of here.
Fine, then I won't tell you about the gold.
Gold?
Keep this to yourselves now. If you drink the water while holding on to a rock,
Yeah?
it turns into gold.
Gold?
Gold.
Would I lie?
Now that you can get away with it, yes. I guess the moral of the story is to develop a good poker face. And it turns out that Lampwick is a real boy again after he and the other donkeys clean up their acts. I think this is the only version of the story where Lampwick sees any kind of redemption, so thanks for that, movie.
We're very sorry, Senor. Yeah, let us pick these up.
Don't you just hate that kid?
Not as much as I hate you.
I've got a great idea. How about carving me a girlfriend?
Peter boy, 2 minutes already you're thinking about girls? Menage. Am I gonna have trouble with you?
So, if Geppetto carved Pinocchio to be his son, and Pinocchio wants his father to carve him a girlfriend,
Yes?
wouldn't that make her his sister?
I don't think so. Geppetto carved Pinocchio so that he would be a sort of surrogate son for him. And when Pinocchio came to life, that's what he was. I think that if Geppetto wanted to carve specifically a girlfriend for Pinocchio, that if she came to life, that's what she would be too.
But what about those puppets he saved from burning? He called them his family, didn't he?
Oh yeah. His girlfriend would be his sister by default.
The movies you review are weird.
True, this is a weird story, but in my opinion, it's one of the best treatments of the material that you could look for. Every version of the story has their own unique charm to it, but none of them are going to be completely airtight when put under scrutiny. Even the Disney version, for all of its appeal, isn't without its plot holes and lack of logic. But again, The Adventures of Pinocchio does a much better job of being a more cohesive story, as opposed to a bunch of random things happening to a puppet coming to life for no reason. The puppetry's fantastic, the art direction is gorgeous, the actors are all great, the story treatment is satisfying for the most part. Admittedly, Pepe could have used some polish, but otherwise, I suggest you give this movie a look. Thank you all for exploring the Hensonverse with me, and be sure to tune in next time as we delve into Christmas in July. See you later!
Whoa, wait a minute. That's it?
Yeah?
But this was your big theme month. Don't you want to do something special with it?
Yeah, I do. And I wrote down some ideas, but nothing felt right. I want to do a proper tribute to Jim Henson, but I don't know. I got nothing. And you're expecting me to do something. Everyone else is expecting me to do something, but I got no ideas. I've got nothing. I'm sorry. I gotta go.
Baby, wait!
How'd I get myself into this? I can't pay tribute to Jim Henson.
So then why did you do this theme month in the first place?
Because I wanted to celebrate the impact they had on my life. But nothing I came up with felt right.
But then, if you didn't even try, you'd be feeling miserable for missing your chance.
Yeah. But then there'd just be me feeling miserable. Now I got thousands of people who are expecting me to put on this big showstopper, and I'm just letting them down. I'm letting him down.
Well, I can appreciate you wanting to make sure that you get it right. Jim was a really good friend. To all of us. But do you know what everyone's most cherished memories of Jim are? What? They're not about him putting on a show or directing his latest movie. They're all about how Jim would make them laugh. You have your audience, your friends, family. If you want to do a tribute to Jim Henson, make them laugh. That'll be enough. Thank you, Kermit.
Hey guys, we are answering our first questions of the review. Raven thought of this fun little feature where we're asking you guys what your favorite part of this or that part of the video that we're looking at is. So here we are, finally tackling some of those answers.
From now on, we're going to try to do the previous question of the review. The answers that we are going to be reading will be on the following video. But yes, we're new at this, so now there's going to be a whole info dump of 3 videos, correct?
Yes, 3. We're going to be looking at the questions that were left from Dark Crystal, Storyteller, and Dinosaurs. So, you know, bit to get through. And you guys left us so many responses here. Thank you so much. It was hard to whittle it down to just a handful. If we read every single answer to these questions, it would take forever. But,
right. So we're just going to do the ones that had a lot of detail or really grabbed our attention. And in the future, if you want to try to get your answer read on the question of the review segment, then put some thought into your answers. Really think about it. Give us some detail.
Because we got some.
Make us want to talk about it.
Yes, we got some really good ones here. Starting with.
Well, first we need to know. We need to tell them what the first question of the review was.
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say.
Put it on my script.
Well, I didn't put it on my script here either. I was going to say, Mikazoic here answered the question, which Dark Crystal character is your favorite and why, with...
Dark Crystal or Age of Resistance.
Or Age of Resistance, yes. I just automatically lumped those two together. Come on, second season, where are you?
It's coming.
Anyway, Mechazoic answers that his or her favorite character is Hup. He's the epitome of badass adorable. I also like the Heretic and the Wanderer. They were hilarious.
I made Rob keep this one because I love the term badass adorable. That describes Hup so well.
I was just going to say, this answer here kind of steps on our preconceived thing that we just said, where you want to give us a more in-depth answer. But, yeah, badass adorable, that was just too good to pass up. Because that is Hup.
Very much so Hup. And the next answer was also chosen just strictly for the adorableness of it. Not a whole lot of detail. Mr. Fox said, "It's hard not to love Lily the Gelfling."
That's so who she is!
It really is.
And Lyrebird207 follows up with that with, "Deet, simply because she's too precious for this world."
She is the most precious cinnamon roll.
Yeah, sorry. Some people out there might not understand that reference. Could you explain that to us, please?
Well, I don't know, and I asked my children where they got that whole cinnamon roll thing, and the only answer I could get from my oldest was Tumblr, which is kind of vague. So, basically, most precious cinnamon roll. And Lyrebird 297 or 207, I don't have my glasses on, that said Deet was simply too precious for this world. That is a Supernatural reference. If you'll remember when Sam is hugging, I can't remember his name, Osric.
If it's any consolation, I don't remember either.
Because he doesn't watch Supernatural.
It's not untrue.
Anyway, Sam was hugging, I believe it was Osric's character, that I cannot remember his name for some reason. I'm drawing a blank. And when he was under the influence of some sort of magical spell, and he's like, "He's too precious for this world." It was adorable.
Most precious cinnamon roll.
Most precious cinnamon roll. Yeah, that's from
Yes.
Tumblr. Somewhere. So, Killer Katie says her favorite character is Deet. She is kind and caring to everyone, not just those who would be of use to her cause. I'm also happy that lore was in the series, since lore was apparently a concept that couldn't properly be brought to the big screen back in the day. So for lore to be in the series now is simply wonderful.
Yes, I'm not entirely sure what kind of a technical limitations might have been in place in 1980 that would have kept lore from being created, but hey, that's awesome. You have this concept that for some reason just couldn't be realized back then, and you bring it into this? That's great. Go lore, we love you. Let's see, we also have this comment from Alex Lemons, who says, Skektek is his favorite character. I have a weakness for deranged tinkerers with their own little workshops. He reminds me a bit of Tarantulas from Beast Wars. I especially love his put-upon, desperate for respect characterization in Age of Resistance. I really felt for the guy, even if he could be just as much of a sadistic a-hole as his fellow Vulture Lords. Plus, Mark Hamill's always a win in my book. And it is so hard to disagree with that.
Yeah, I think the Beast Wars reference really caught Rob's attention on that comment.
It's so true, he was Tarantulas!
I like his fellow Vulture Lords, that was pretty funny. But, yeah, Skektek was definitely a favorite. You know, you always have your favorite villain.
Oh, yeah. and Vulture Lords would have been a really different series if, or a movie rather, if Jim Henson decided to model these things after, I don't know, penguins.
Not quite as intimidating, I would imagine.
We are the evil penguin lords.
Danny Kimbrell says, now this is a good question. Thinking about it, I think Kira is a massive part of the original, giving it way more stakes than the typical hero's journey story. Her nature of being a lot more worldly as an adoptee of the Podlings, which rather than Jin who was living with the Mystics in seclusion, made her way more than just the typical heroine we see in these types of films. I actually haven't seen Age of Resistance. Funny that you say that, Danny, but what you brought up about how Kira is more worldly because she was raised by the Podlings, it really makes it stands out that in Age of Resistance, they show the podlings as practically feral.
Yeah.
They don't have a culture.
There was a lot that I didn't cover in my review there, but something which, in retrospect, probably needed to be discussed, and didn't think about this until after the fact, was how, when you look at the podlings in the movie, they're just another people. They're just any other people that you might see in any other country.
They're quaint, like a little, Renaissance fair kind of era.
But in the series, they look like they haven't developed any kind of culture. Like, at all. Except for possibly Hupp, who decided that he wanted to be a paladin.
Paladin!
And
I love Hupp!
It's like, wait a minute. Did Hupp actually begin the evolution of podling civilization? He wanted to become something higher, and in doing so, did he elevate his entire people? That's crazy.
It's really funny. I mean, they show the Gelflings being punished by having to go and wash the podlings who are wallowing around in mud.
What? Maybe mud.
I'm going to say it's mud.
Or maybe something else.
It's mud. Basically they went from Neanderthal to medieval.
To modern man.
Well, not modern, but medieval person.
A few 100 years off here and there, but even a medieval man is very little different from modern. But, yeah, fully capable of doing what they're doing in the movie that they couldn't do only 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It's nuts. So, yes, thank you, Hupp, for doing everything that you did. You helped Kira be what she is.
And what is our final reply that we've chosen for the Dark Crystal?
The final answer to this question comes from Nickel the Wise, who says, "It's a rough call. Most of the characters are terribly interesting or engaging in both. Dark Crystal would have to be Agra for her haughty concern for Thra, despite being so ageless and leaned on by destiny. The little curse she busts out on the feasting Skeksis was one of the first things I memorized as a little guy. Moldy mildew! Mother of mouth muck! Dangle and strangle to death! Age of Resistance. It's even funnier when you picture Frank Oz saying that as he was puppeteering her. She and Jen were both played by Frank Oz and Jim Henson, who were later voiced by other actors later on. But yeah, you have Frank Oz saying that, Moldy mildew, mother of mouthmuck! Age of Resistance was even harder with all the bright new faces and roles. Hupp's way up there just for his drunken battle at Stone in the Wood after a guzzling brew. When he leaps into the fight, it looks like someone just whipped the puppet onto the set in a pose, like, ah! And all of us at the apartment were assigning an amount of days in the rascal hole for transgressions for a while.
I love that.
Age of Resistance is bleeding into the real world. Let's see. It's got to be either Skektek or Skeksil, the scientist, or the Chamberlain, for both for being so pivotal to how things happened. One dripped words of honeyed poison in almost every vulnerable ear he could. Yes, exactly.
I love the way you put that.
Mm-hmm, very much so.
So cool.
And the other became the right hand of everything the Skeksis came to do. Plus, knowing what we know about the Arathim later, how messed up it is that he was locked up in the laboratory like a freaked-out animal, still connected to its kin. Yes, again, I couldn't cover everything, but that was something else that I noticed and appreciated in the series, too. There were like a handful of lab animals that he actually felt for? Really? Let's explore some of that more, please. It's a whole series I can watch again and again. It's a world I'd very much like to see someday. Except the goggles. F that noise.
Agreed. The gobbles were horrifying.
Gobbled up by gobbles!
So great answers on the Dark Crystal, guys.
Mm-hmm. And now we are moving on to the storyteller. The question was, what of the 9 stories that were present in the series were your favorite, and why? And what
Elsie
we have?
says, based on Bob's summary of the story, I assume the moral of The Soldier and Death was supposed to be that, as sad as death is, it's a necessary and natural part of reality. So trying to get rid of it is actually wrong. It reminded me of the Greek myth of Sisyphus, who was similarly punished for trying to trap Thanatos, the god/personification of death. That's also probably why the soldier's fate is to wander for eternity. He kind of got his wish. For him, at least, there is no longer any such thing as death. And he's not any happier for it.
And how wonderful that you haven't seen this story, but you were able to get that kind of insight from my complete lack of insight. Here I am just looking at the story and thinking, okay, was that necessary? But, possibly.
I can see it.
Maguma says that their favorite story is gonna have to go with that hedgehog one. It's a story that really wants to be good, but just kind of falls flat. I love that answer, because it's trying to be good, but just kind of falls flat. And that's the best one, in Maguma's opinion.
You are just drawing down the wrath by constantly criticizing this Jim Henson property. I told you that's what you get.
Yes, but I gotta say, I saw earlier today the like to dislike ratio that I have on that video. Oh my god, you guys are so forgiving. Have I said that I love you all?
Letting get away with far too much.
The stories didn't make any sense. Come on, you saw them.
I did, and see, I saw a couple of them a long time ago, and I remembered them as, amazing. You're so cool.
Yes, because you're so wowed of the technology that's available in 1989, 1990 TV technology, and you're thinking, whoa, we can do this nowadays? This is amazing. In The Luck Child, we have that amazing Griffin puppet. It is just marvelous how they're able to operate this thing. It's almost as big as Audrey 2 from The Little Shop of Horrors, except it's actually able to be used in real time. They didn't have to slow it down like they did for Audrey 2 in that movie. But... Scratch!
Stop it.
Are we supposed to be watching this?
We watched what was it, The Luck Child? Was that The Luck Child?
Yes.
We watched The Luck Child on a platform and didn't have subtitles for it. And we had a whole joke written down for it because we misunderstood with the Griffin set, and then we watched it on Amazon Prime, and we're like, oh darn, we can't include the joke. But it sure sounded like...
Reach around.
Which lunch or something. I don't know how he said it.
I think it was Scratch that he said.
No, it was Wrench or something like that.
Something, yeah.
There were R's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a subtitle, what it sounded like to our ears, and we listened to it over and over again, we've got to make sure that we're hearing this right. It sure as heck sounded like he said,
reach round!
It's reach round! Reach round! Yeah, he's
what's going on here? And going back to Hans my Hedgehog, okay, it's your wedding night. You don't want to, make love to your new bride? Oh, you just want to go out and hang out with the farm animals. Creepy!
But yes, Hans my Hedgehog was definitely trying really hard.
So easy to see what it was trying to do, but this guy is supposed to be our romantic hero.
Melissa Miller says, tricky question. I like the one with the porcupine guy and the princess, mainly because I'm kind of a hopeless romantic. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
You have to be awfully hopeless to think that's romantic.
I love you, my new bride. Okay.
Well, out with the sheep.
Oh. No, it's called snoodling.
Snoodling, yes, right. And take his dress, hold you up and snoodle you to bits. Which sounds kind of violent. Anyway.
Snoodling, no, ew, get it away!
When I was with my ex, I had a lot of dreams involving him being my beast and me his beauty.
Aww.
Well, since Beauty and the Beast is my favorite fairy tale / Disney / live action story.
It's okay, you're allowed to be wrong on occasion.
What did you say?
I said it's alright. It's okay to be wrong on occasion.
You know better than most. Okay.
Oh.
I also read some stories similar to that story, particularly the original Beauty and the Beast, Eros and Psyche, East of the Sun, West of the Moon, to name a few. That is why that is one of my that is why that one is my particular favorite.
Aww.
Now, see, when you compare it to Beauty and the Beast, you really have to stretch to compare it to Beauty and the Beast. But I agree that Beauty and the Beast is awesome.
Maybe.
And I would like to check out Eros and Psyche and East of the Sun, West of the Moon, if you think it's similar to Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, indeed. If we're talking about the Disney version, of course, the original Beauty and the Beast tale, that wasn't incredibly romantic either. Same basic premise, but like Hans my Hedgehog, it needed some tweaking. So, thank you, Disney, for that.
Check that out just to compare.
Yes, I'll have to read it on Storytime one of these days. Let's see, and the final comment that we got for this question here comes from Jania Cubero. Please excuse me if I mispronounce that. My favorite was always Hans my Hedgehog. Wow, really popular one, this.
I didn't realize we had done that.
Me either.
I thought everybody saying the same thing.
I first discovered it thanks to the Muppets special where they were giving a tribute to Jim Henson. The clip that it showed disturbed yet fascinated me. Yes, I know the shot that you're talking about. The one where she's snoodling with her hedgehoggy husband who flip-flops between being hedgehog and human, and then all of a sudden he's got these raven wings just springing from his back. It's like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? I gotta check out what this show is. Well, let's see, where was I? Ah, yes. Same with Labyrinth, as that was also seen in the special, too. Still, for a long time, while it was the only episode I had seen, but I still loved it. So much that it inspired me to make a Beauty and the Beast love story, but with Hans and Snow White, since they had similar story elements.
That sounds pretty interesting.
I suppose it makes more sense to stick her with this hedgehog man than a necrophiliac. Hey, here's a dead girl in a glass coffin. I'll kiss her and see what happens.
That was the thing back then. Find a girl who might be dead, might be asleep, we're not really sure. Kiss her, and then she's yours. You get to keep her. What a deal.
Note to self, scour more graveyards.
You are so gross.
And there's that look of disapproval that I love so much.
That you work so hard for. Stop it!
Hey, work nothing, this is play.
And finally, for this little segment here, we will be reading the questions with some really good ideas for the dinosaurs question of the review, which was...
if Jim Henson was going to do another a sitcom like The Dinosaurs, what weird subject would it revolve around? For this first one, we have a... Oh, this is yours, isn't it?
Oh, it's fine, yes. Mr. Fox, which I think he had a little... He was the person that said Lily the Gelfling for Deet.
Yes.
But Mr. Fox says, I believe that Jim Henson would have created an 80s sitcom about a family of rats that moved from rural America to the Big Apple by means of human transport. The family would be a father, mother, older brother, sister, and younger brother. Some ideas for humorous situations would be getting the kids involved in gangs of native New York rats.
Uh-oh.
That doesn't sound like humorous. That sounds dangerous. Father searching for work serving food at a rat restaurant by taking from the dumpster of a human restaurant. Dealing with traffic while hiding aboard public transportation. And, of course, experiencing a New York Christmas. I feel the chances of fish-out-of-water humor and the New York stereotypes are endless. There could even be commentary on the different values of rural and urban life. Hell, they could even have Rizzo cameo in there. In closing, I feel that this show would have ample opportunities for humor and heart, and I hope you think the same. I do.
Yes.
I will watch that show.
I was going to say, with the cameo of Rizzo in there, it sounds like an expansion of the rats that we had in the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
They're working in a restaurant. Hey, there's Kermit and Piggy who are running the place. Yes.
Yeah, so kind of a really different take on the country mouse and the city mouse.
I can totally see that happening, yes.
Yeah, in the 80s. It would be amazing.
Let's see. Richter the Eternal says, how about a sitcom called Marvel's Muppets? Jim Henson would cut a deal with Marvel Comics in which he made a Muppet comedy starring Marvel Comics' greatest superheroes as Muppet characters. And you know what? He wouldn't even have to do that. They can do that now since Disney owns everything. Captain America, Spider-Man, and the Hulk would probably be the main characters, living together as roommates. Yes.
Now, would these be like Muppet Captain America, or would like Gonzo be Captain America, Kermit be Spider-Man, and would the Hulk be Fozzie or something, or Animal, or I don't know?
I'm imagining these characters being realized similar to the Muppets from Sesame Street, where they're supposed to be the human characters that they are, except, just Muppets.
Okay.
Although, if you want to have cameos from the rest of the Muppet crew in there, that'd be awesome too. Have Spider-Man running into Kermit and thinking he's the chameleon. Or the lizard, rather.
Who would Miss Piggy be? Love Miss Piggy.
Suddenly, my mind is jumping to her doing Black Widow cosplay.
I can see it. I can see it.
I can totally see it too. Alright, what
Renegade
else we got?
the Unicorn. Huh?
I was gonna say, what else we got?
Renegade the Unicorn says, such endless possibilities. Though my first thought would probably be a sitcom about fast food, like a less vulgar, more coherent Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which I've never heard of. I've heard of, but I have no idea what it is.
Oh, it is bat dookie insane.
The setting would be Snack Bar High and feature a hot dog jock, his hamburger girlfriend, and their dorky soda pop best friend.
And he has to be dorky because I guess his head's full of air. He's always bubbling away.
I think that's kind of a trope. You've got the jock and the hot girlfriend, and if they have anything out of their social circle, it's going to be that dorky best friend.
Yes, you have the dean who is, I don't know, a bowl of oatmeal.
I'm thinking Archie.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that came to mind, Riverdale. I watched a little bit of that. I'm really having trouble getting into it.
Oh, really?
But Jughead.
It's Archie, and don't make Archie serious.
You covered a comic where they had Archie fighting vampires or something, didn't you?
The Predator. What?
Archie versus the Predator.
The second series. There's two of them. What?
You got Archie. Stay in your lane with Archie. We don't need to make him edgy. Archie doesn't need to fight crime. Archie doesn't,
I can...
Aren't they kind of like the Scooby-Doos? Aren't they kind of like the Scoobies?
They should be firmly...
Like solve mysteries? I
don't know about the solving mysteries thing, but they should be firmly planted in the 50s, where nothing bad happened ever.
I don't know much about... I don't know much about nothing. Of that sort of thing. But I always thought that Archie was like the mystery solvers, like Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys and the Scoobies.
I think they were just supposed to be a slice of life comic, just, any random thing that might happen to any random teenager. But yes, that's the darkest they should ever go.
I don't know why I thought they solved mysteries, but...
Because they look exactly like Scooby-Doo.
Like Scooby-Doo without the dog.
Right, that's as serious as they should get.
Yeah, don't make Archie edgy, come on.
No. Let's see,
They're gonna remake Leave It to Beaver and have him be like, a secret superhero or something.
Ugh.
Maybe he can talk to dogs.
No, that would... No. No. No, that... first of all, that doesn't coincide with the whole grimdark thing that's so hot these days. But two... No! Hold your tongue, woman! Alright, moving on to Moonbeam87's comments. Labyrinth the sitcom. After the whole Muppet party in Sarah's room, she decides she's going to have some more comedic hijinks with the Muppets from the Labyrinth, because once wasn't enough for Sarah. Turn back, Sarah! Turn back before it's too late!
And Moonbeam wasn't the only one that came up with the idea of the Labyrinth sitcom.
Nope.
Espanolina?
Maybe.
ALSC says, I would have loved seeing a Labyrinth series that showed Sarah and her friends, Hoggle, Sir Didymus, Ludo, and maybe new show original puppets, dealing with various challenges from the Goblin King that would make her learn a different and valuable life lesson in each episode. Of course, Bowie and Connolly wouldn't be able to play the human roles, but you could always cast other very good actors that would also play them in a memorable and enjoyable way.
Exactly.
I don't know how you'd have the Labyrinth without David Bowie. But I'm sure there are some good Bowie impersonators out there that could pull it off.
There has to be. There has to be someone banking off of how much they look like this a celebrity or that a celebrity. There's another David Bowie out there, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, there'll never be another David Bowie.
Well, no, not another David Bowie exactly, but there's someone who could fill his boots.
But can you imagine the Labyrinth as an 80s sitcom? A little bit dinosaurs, a little bit Alf.
A little bit Alice in Wonderland. It would be nuts.
What's some other stuff? Charmed was the 90s, wasn't it?
Yes.
Little Bewitched.
A little Bewitched, yes. Maybe some supernatural element from the Goblin King's world bleeds over into the real world, and they had to deal with that. A little bit Buffy, maybe?
That was not 80s, was it? Was that 90s? That was 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 90s, but as long as we're dealing with other elements from other shows like that, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Kind of a combination 80s, 90s that could pull it off.
Mm-hmm. But, yes, Just Hincappy, again, I'm sorry for pronouncing your names horribly, I do that, says that they'd like to see a futuristic ape society framed as a 90s sitcom like Fresh Prince, Fresh Chimp of Bel Ape.
I loved that so much. Fresh Chimp of Bel Ape. Yes, I want to see that show.
We have one chimp who lives in a zoo, and he has to live with his upscale family who lives in the circus.
No, it would be the other way around.
Other way around?
Yes, it would be like he grew up on the rough streets of the circus, and he was horribly treated, and he was sent away to his family. You're right. It would live in the wildlife sanctuary.
You're right. It would be the circus animals who have a bit more exposure to the real world. They're more street, I suppose. While you have the zoo preserve animals who are a bit more enclosed. That's where Charlton Chimp comes in. or Carlton Chimp.
Charlton, there we go.
I don't know.
I like
He's...
Charlie the Chimp?
No. And the final answer to this question? Take us home, baby.
The final answer comes again from Mechazoic. A bunch of cryptids, such as Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, Chupacabra, etc. The premise is that cryptids have become public knowledge and forced to join society.
Uh-oh.
They have moved into the same apartment block together and are attempting to hold down regular jobs while also trying to curb their more monstrous tendencies. They are occasionally visited by an obnoxious government agent who has been assigned to ensure that they stay on the straight and narrow. I would pay money. I would subscribe to a streaming service to see that show.
And there's only...
hilarious.
There was only one person who they could get to monitor these monsters from time to time. Tommy Wiseau, reprising his role of Charlie. From the Neighbors. What a day!
What a day! Yes!
And of course, with him running the show, for lack of a better term, that begs the very obvious question that has to happen in all monster properties. Who's the real monster? Man or monster?
Well, of course it's man. It's always man.
I'm not a monster, I am not. Oh, hi, Chupacabra.
And Bigfoot would be a mattress salesman because of those commercials that you see for Purple mattress. I think it's Purple, where it's got like the mom Bigfoot in the woods talking about how all the domestic duties that she has and. Oh, come on! You guys have seen that commercial, right?
I think I remember the commercials, but I...
Monster of a toddler?
Yeah, what is that?
That jumps on the mattress and...
Is that a mattress commercial?
I think it's a mattress commercial.
It's funny, I know what you're talking about, but I'm having an easier time remembering the commercial itself than what it's advertising.
And that's where advertising has come. They've gone way past the product. If you remember the commercial more than the product that it's selling, it's like, that was a great commercial. I have no idea what it was trying to sell me. Then they've missed the mark.
Yes.
Back up. Go back a little bit. You guys have missed it. You forgot that right turn.
How about...
Sell the product.
How about Ocean Breeze soap? The soap that gets you clean. Wait, you mean just say what the product does? No one's ever tried that before! I'm still in Jim Henson mode. It's gonna take a while to get out of this. Not that anyone's complaining, mind you. But yes, I... like you, I would totally pay for whatever streaming service is hosting this monster neighbor show.
Definitely. You guys had some really, really good answers.
Yes, I'm going to...
Questions of the review.
I'm going to enjoy making this a regular feature once we're, back into it, more into the rhythm of doing these things here. This is all still very experimental, still making it up as we go. But, sounds like it's working.
You just watched a review.
Yes.
You should have just watched a review. This is going to be tacked on to the end of it. So that should have a question of the review.
Yes.
Please go and answer it if you'd like to see maybe you get your answer read in the it's not for this time. The next one is going to be kind of a surprise. Will they know what it is by now? Probably now. You probably know what it is. But anyway,
yes.
The next one's not going to have anything tacked on at the end because it's going to be long. You'll find out why.
Exactly.
But the following review will have both the questions of the review from that long thing and from the review you just watched. So answer the question of the review. Do not post your own question of the review. Your comment will be removed. Let's not confuse people.
No.
So answer my question of the review.
Talk to her. She's the answer keeper.
And we will get in the swing of doing this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We just want to build interaction. We want to talk to you guys. We want to hear what you're thinking and what you're, we love hearing about all the different things that you imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are so creative. I mean, Transformers. Transformers says it all. You guys have some great ideas, and it definitely makes it more fun to do these things when we talk about it.
Damn you, Grace!
That'd be great.
Yes. But yeah, go ahead and answer the question of this review in the comments below under Raven's question there. And we will...
do it as a reply. Don't make it your whole new... You have to reply to my question of the review.
Yes, gotta reply. And we will see if maybe we want to talk about it on this next little video segment. Any closing thoughts there, baby?
Just keep them coming. You guys are amazing.
Yes, these are great. We want to see more of these, please.
Make it
fun. They know how to make it fun. They're our audience. So, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.